What did people do for pain before modern medicine? Before painkillers, people treated pain with pressure, heat, plants, baths, bloodletting, prayer, and sometimes rituals that sound completely strange to us today. But here is the interesting part. Some of these ideas were based on mistaken beliefs, some were surprisingly practical, and a few still exist inside modern therapy. So what did people actually do when their bodies hurt? And how did we get from ancient remedies to massage, rehabilitation, and modern pain science? The answer is not a straight line from ignorance to knowledge. It is a long story of people trying to understand a body they could not yet see clearly. Ancient Egypt, treatment was both practical and spiritual. One of the oldest medical traditions we know about comes from ancient Egypt. Medical papyri describe remedies for burns, skin problems, injuries, and many other conditions. Some instructions use plants, minerals, oils, bandages, or food ingredients. Other instructions include spells and ritual words. To us, that combination can look inconsistent. But to an ancient healer, there was no sharp border between the physical body and the invisible world. A remedy could be practical and spiritual at the same time. That does not mean every remedy worked. It means the healer was working with the best explanation available at the time. They watched symptoms. They remembered what seemed to help. They passed recipes from one generation to the next. Then, they added the beliefs of their culture to explain why the treatment worked. That pattern will appear again and again in the history of therapy. People often discover that an action changes how the body feels before they understand the real mechanism. China, a different map of the body. Across ancient China, healing traditions developed on a different map. The exact beginnings are difficult to date, but the Huangdi Neijing, or Yellow Emperor's Inner Classic, gathered older ideas into a major medical text around 2000 years ago. It describes yin and yang, qi, channels, herbs, heat, moxibustion, and needling. The modern label traditional Chinese medicine includes practices standardized much later. For pain, the approach could involve pulse, movement, heat, herbs, massage, or acupuncture. Its explanation was balance and flow within a connected body. The map may not match modern anatomy, but the instinct to observe the whole person and individualize care is familiar. Greece and Rome, the body becomes something to observe. In ancient Greece, some medical thinkers began pushing the explanation of illness away from the gods and toward nature, observation, and reasoning. This was not a clean revolution. Religion and medicine continued to exist together, but the questions began to change. Instead of only asking, which spirit caused this? A healer could also ask, what happened before the symptom? What makes it better? What makes it worse? What can I observe in the body? Movement, exercise, bathing, and massage were part of this world. One physician associated with this approach was Asclepiades of Bithynia, who worked in the Roman world. Accounts of his methods describe walks, massage, music, and baths as part of treatment for some patients. That sounds surprisingly modern, but the explanation was different. Ancient practitioners did not have our understanding of nerves, inflammation, or rehabilitation. They used the theories available to them. Galen, another famous physician, became known for treating gladiators. Repeated injuries gave him opportunities to observe wounds, movement, and recovery. His writings influenced medicine for many centuries, but influence is not the same as being correct. Galen valued observation, yet many later physicians treated his theories as unquestionable truth. A useful lesson appears here. Even a good observation can become a bad rule when nobody is allowed to question it. The age of balance, blood, and powerful explanations. For centuries, much of European medicine was shaped by the theory of four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Health was understood as a balance between these fluids. Illness could be explained as an excess, shortage, or displacement of one of them. This helped make bloodletting seem logical. If the body had too much blood, removing some might restore balance. Physicians used lancets, cups, and later leeches. The practice continued for a very long time, not because people were foolish, but because the theory connected symptoms, treatment, and a visible result. The visible action made the treatment feel confirmed, especially when the illness later improved on its own. Of course, visible action is not the same as effective treatment. Many illnesses improve on their own. Some people were harmed by bloodletting, especially when they were already weak. This is one of the most important lessons in the history of therapy. A treatment can feel meaningful, produce a strong experience, and still be the wrong explanation for what is happening. From inherited tradition to organized rehabilitation, medical knowledge did not simply disappear after the ancient world. Greek and Roman texts were copied, translated, and expanded in different parts of the world, including the medieval Islamic world. By the 19th century, exercise, massage, heat, cold, water, and electrical treatments were being gathered into organized physical medicine. Training became more formal, and the goal increasingly included returning people to work, sport, daily life, and independence. This is where the story starts to look more familiar to a modern therapist. The goal was not only to make a symptom disappear, it was also to help a person return to work, sport, daily life, and independence. The modern change, pain is not a simple damage report. For a long time, people often imagined pain as a direct message from an injured body part. More damage meant more pain. Less damage meant less pain. But modern pain science showed that the relationship is more complicated. In 1965, researchers Ronald Melzack and Patrick Wall proposed the gate control theory of pain. Their work helped establish the idea that signals entering the nervous system can be modified before they become the experience we call pain. That does not mean pain is imaginary. It means pain is produced by a living nervous system that is constantly interpreting information. Context matters. Protection matters. Previous experience matters. Sleep, stress, fear, confidence, and the meaning of an injury can all influence how a person experiences a signal. This helps explain why touch, movement, education, and gradual exercise can all matter, even when they are not physically repairing one single damaged spot. What has actually changed? The history of therapy is not a story about ancient people being stupid and modern people finally knowing everything. It is a story about better questions. People have always tried to calm pain, restore movement, and make sense of suffering using the tools and explanations available to them. Some treatments were harmful, some were helpful for reasons nobody understood, some were mostly ritual, some became the early versions of ideas we still use. Today, the best approach is usually not to ask, what is the one best treatment? It is to ask, what is happening to this person? What is the goal? What does the body need right now? And how will we know if the plan is helping? Sometimes the answer includes massage or skilled touch. Sometimes it includes movement, strength, rest, education, better sleep, or a gradual return to activity. The tools have changed across thousands of years, but the central challenge remains the same. Understand the person in front of you, choose the right input, and keep learning from the result. That is the long history of trying to fix the body, and it is still being written. Next, we can look at one of the oldest and most misunderstood tools of all: massage.